The film starts with a guy named Virgil who's on a big mission. He has to take a special medicine from Earth to a faraway colony. This medicine is super important because it can stop a really bad virus from spreading in the colony. Everyone there is counting on Virgil to bring it. Virgil gets a message from a lady named Corinne who seems to be his wife. She tells him that she and their son are okay, even though the virus is causing trouble. As Virgil and his friends get closer to the colony, things get tough. Their spaceship, called the Tempest, is pretty old. They start worrying if it can handle the trip. Suddenly, they end up near a planet, which wasn't part of the plan. This causes a big problem on their ship. While dealing with the mess, they realize they need to save the medicine. They push the ship's doctor to put it in an escape pod, just so they don't lose the only hope for the colony. The next scene shows what happened after the crisis. The ship has crashed, and the people on board are getting back on their feet. Virgil wakes up in a corner after being unconscious. He asked the doctor about Parker, the captain, who was likely concussed. Virgil insists that Parker just needs his hat. Virgil hurries to repair the engines and tries to figure out how to fix the ship. Then he goes to secure the virus cure in a safe place. A crew member wonders if they've crashed and are now lost, but Virgil reassures them that they still have gravity. Suddenly, Parker groans in pain, showing he's awake. Virgil goes to him to update him on their situation. He explains they likely bounced off Leviathan's atmosphere and crashed on one of its moons. He also mentions that the communication array is down, so they can't send a distress signal. Parker was in pain, so the doctor gave him some painkillers through an injection. In the next scene, we see the doctor and Virgil talking in a room. The doctor explains that Captain Parker's condition is getting worse because of a head injury. Without surgery, the pressure inside his skull will keep increasing, and he only has about 48 hours to live if he stays still. Virgil is feeling stressed, but he continues his mission to find out what caused the crisis. Virgil heads outside of the ship. He tells his crew to not try to rescue if anything goes wrong. The doctor and the woman on board keep him under their eye and their surveillance for his safety. However, as he was wandering through the area, he is confronted with a venomous spider and it bites him on his arm. He then rushes back to the spaceship, and upon returning to the ship and closing the door, Virgil abruptly falls unconscious and slowly falls to the ground. In the next scene, we see Virgil in a hospital bed in a different timeline. He is in a critical condition. The doctor, along with his wife, are looking at him. They tell him he has been in a coma for 3 weeks. His wife also tells he has saved the colony successfully. Virgil seems disoriented and confused, but all of them tell him he should stay alive. His son is also there, and at this point, Virgil cannot distinct his reality. Abruptly, the scene shifts to the spaceship where this Virgil wakes up next to Captain Parker. He is completely dissociated, and looking around, the doctor arrives. Virgil tells him he was with his family and that it felt so real. The doctor then breaks it down for him by telling that the venom from the spider bite has a hallucinatory effect, causing him to dream about being back home on Tablos. He also adds, the venom seeks receptors in the hypothalamus and the cortex, leading to mind-altering effects. We also see the doctor bring something to the crew. As he takes the blanket away, we see the venomous spider attached to the neck of the woman. The woman in the crew has been bitten by the spider, and she is about to be dead. Virgil then sees his bitten arm and thought how lucky he was, but he is still taking in events. The hallucinogenic effects are still appearing on him. Suddenly, he falls down to the ground, growling, and the scene cuts to the hospital bed. He is still screaming in that reality, and his wife and the doctor come to calm him down. They also tell him it is just a dream and a hallucination, and that it's not real. Now, in disbelief, he again passes out. In the next scene, we see Virgil and his son in the hospital room. The kid was beside him, drawing on his notebook, and suddenly, Virgil woke up. He is happy to see his son, and meanwhile, his wife and the doctor enter the room. Virgil then inquires about the mission, and the doctor reveals to him that he contracted Alicia C, but he's going to be alright as long as he fights it. He's also told that he saved the lives of the whole colony, including Corinne and John Jr., who were in the first stages of Alicia C when they found the ship floating derelict in space. Virgil then requests to visit Captain Parker and is informed that he's on life support. Despite this, Virgil decides to see him. When Virgil approaches Parker and tries to engage with him, Parker appears unresponsive. However, when Virgil jokingly asks about Parker's hat, the captain responds by saying he left it on the ship. Suddenly, Parker becomes aggressive and starts to attack Virgil. The scene suddenly shifts to the spaceship, where we see Virgil in that reality. He's unable to distinguish between the two realities, but he's doing his best to manage both of them. He finds Parker fixing the engines and he tells him what's been happening. Parker tells him they are just hallucinations with the spider bite. In the next scene, we see the Doctor and Virgil venturing out check the area and also the engine. There, Captain Parker stays in the ship and monitor the two outside. Virgil is at the sensory arrays of their ship, describing them as looking like spaghetti. He can see the auxiliary engines, but they're stuck in the muck, making it impossible to fly off the moon they're stranded on. The place they're stranded on is revealed to be one of over 200 moons of a planet called Leviathan. Only 40 of these moons have been explored by the colony, and 2 of them are bigger than Earth and have life. Even Leviathan itself has life in its upper atmosphere. Virgil starts to hallucinate, hearing a voice identified as Corinne calling him home. Despite being told he's hallucinating, Virgil insists he's hearing a search and rescue operation. Meanwhile, the Doctor starts to shoot at Virgil. Attention scales then, and suddenly the scene shifts to a ceremony where Captain Parker, Commander Virgil, and Dr. Leo is awarded the Tablos Medal of Honor. Virgil is recognized for saving the colony, and Vasquez is noted as the only Earther ever to receive the award. Virgil confronts Park, accusing him of knowing what's going on and trying to kill him outside the ship. Park tries to explain the concept of dissociation after trauma, but Virgil interrupts, insisting that Park tried to kill him outside with a weapon. Parker intervenes, revealing that the Doctor spent the last 3 weeks trying to save Virgil's life. As Virgil struggles to comprehend reality, he learns that they've crashed and are dealing with spiders. The commander informs Virgil that he's been unconscious for almost 3 weeks and nearly lost his life multiple times. Virgil denies it being a dream or hallucination, expressing disbelief at the circumstances of their situation. Right after his son walks in, he tries to calm down. Even with all the confusion, he's just glad his wife and son are there. Then, something sets him off, and he starts seeing things again, like he's back on the spaceship. At this point, Virgil is really tired and almost losing his mind. The others notice, but they're busy fixing the ship. Virgil still thinks the Doctor tried to kill him, but Dr. Leo explains he was shooting at spiders, not him. They stop arguing and agree to stick together to fix things. Looking through the ship's lens, they realize they're stuck in some kind of jelly that's alive. Suddenly, the ground starts exploding, and the ship shakes. Everyone holds on tight to stay safe. After the explosion, the ship is badly damaged, and Virgil finds himself on the floor. He checks on his companions. Parker seems fine, but sadly, the Doctor is dead in his chair. Virgil feels sad, but goes back to Parker for comfort. They talk, and Parker advises Virgil to choose which reality he believes in. Virgil stands up to get the serum, but is suddenly pulled into a hallucination. He's in a hospital, and his wife is there trying to help him. He thinks it's a dream, but she insists it's real. He finds it too perfect compared to his previous reality. She urges him to stay awake. They say emotional goodbyes, and Virgil wakes himself up. The scene shifts back to the ship, and Virgil confirms to Parker that he's there now. He resumes his task of collecting the serums. They're almost ready to leave, but the escape pods can only take 1 person each. Parker suggests staying behind since he believes he's going to die anyway. Virgil realizes it's up to him to deliver the serum, so he agrees. He gives Parker a marble for luck, and Parker gives him his hat in return. Virgil enters the pod to be sent back to Earth. Parker bids farewell over the radio as Virgil ascends. In the pod, Virgil communicates with a woman over the radio, telling her he's the only survivor. He looks relieved and happy. But suddenly, the scene shifts back to the spaceship, and we see Virgil trapped in a spider web surrounded by spiders. He seems disconnected. It appears everything after he was bitten by the spider was just a hallucination. The movie ends with the entire crew ensnared in the venomous spider web, with spiders infesting the ship.